Easy,
The
we just
growl
need to check her
echoed
vitals.
through the
Stay
pediatric
calm, boy.
wing before
It's
anyone
not
saw
backing
the
down.
dog.
We need to fall
The
back.
70-pound Belgian Malinois stood beside a hospital bed, muscles tense, eyes fixed on the doorway. Inside the bed sat 13-year-old Lily Bennett, the daughter of wounded Navy SEAL Captain Ethan Bennett. Doctors approached. The dog growled. Security officers tried next. The dog showed its teeth. No one could get near the girl. Not without risking an attack. The hallway filled with tension as nurses, physicians, and hospital security argued over what to do. And standing quietly at the back of the crowd was Nurse Claire Morgan. A woman most people barely noticed. A woman many assumed was simply another night shift nurse. Then Claire stepped forward. She looked directly at the dog and spoke a single call sign. The growling stopped. The dog's ears lifted. And for the first time all night, the animal stepped aside. The hallway fell silent. Because there was only one question nobody could answer. How did an ordinary nurse know a military K-9's operational call sign? By sunrise, the entire hospital would realize they had been looking at Claire Morgan all night. But they had never truly seen her. Main characters: Claire Morgan, senior ER nurse, protagonist. Captain Ethan Bennett, injured Navy SEAL officer. Lily Bennett, Ethan's 13-year-old daughter. Rex, military Belgian Malinois K-9. Dr. Michael Harris, emergency department chief. Dr. Rebecca Collins, trauma surgeon. Officer Daniel Brooks, hospital security supervisor. Nurse Julia Reed, charge nurse. Agent Thomas Walker, Federal Protective Liaison. Sergeant Ryan Cole, military escort. Unknown threat actor, main antagonist. St. Andrews Regional Medical Center never truly slept. Even after midnight, the emergency department remained alive with movement. Monitors beeped behind closed curtains. Stretchers rolled through polished hallways. Phones rang. Nurses moved from room to room carrying medications, charts, and instructions. Most people only noticed the hospital when something went wrong. Claire Morgan preferred it that way. She walked through the emergency department with a tablet tucked beneath one arm, checking patient notes while listening to a physician explain a treatment plan. She nodded once. No unnecessary words. No wasted motion. Room 12 needed blood work repeated. Room 7 required observation. An elderly patient in room 4 had not eaten since morning. Claire remembered every detail without writing any of it down. By 1 o'clock in the morning, half the department was running behind schedule. Claire was not. She moved quietly between rooms, solving problems before they became emergencies. A patient's oxygen tubing had come loose. Claire fixed it. A nervous family member needed an explanation. Claire provided one. A new nurse struggled with medication documentation. Claire helped without making her feel embarrassed. Most people appreciated her. Very few truly noticed her. Claire. She turned. Charge nurse Julia Reed approached carrying a stack of charts. We're getting another trauma admission. Claire nodded. How many? 2 patients. 1 adult. 1 child. Serious injuries. The adult. Julia lowered her voice. Military transport. Claire paused for the first time all night. Only briefly. Then she resumed walking. What happened? Vehicle collision from what security said. Expected arrival. 10 minutes. Claire simply nodded. Nothing about her expression changed. Julia watched her for a moment. Most people reacted differently when military patients arrived. Curiosity. Excitement. Questions. Claire never did. She simply prepared. 10 minutes later the ambulance doors opened. The first patient arrived on a stretcher. Male. Approximately 40 years old. Muscular build. Several visible injuries. Unconscious. The trauma team immediately surrounded him. Dr. Rebecca Collins stepped forward. What do we have? The paramedic answered quickly. Male. 41. Vehicle collision. Multiple fractures. Significant blood loss. Stable but heavily sedated. The patient was transferred onto a trauma bed. Claire glanced briefly at the identification paperwork. Captain Ethan Bennett. Then another figure entered through the ambulance bay. A young girl, maybe 13. Long brown hair, pale face, tired eyes. She clutched a small backpack tightly against her chest. This was Lily Bennett, Ethan's daughter. Walking beside her was something unexpected. A Belgian Malinois. The dog wore a tactical harness. Its posture immediately drew Claire's attention. The animal wasn't nervous. It wasn't confused. It was alert, watching, assessing. The dog scanned every person in the room, every doorway, every movement, as if evaluating threats. A military escort entered behind them. Sergeant Ryan Cole. He exchanged several words with hospital administrators before guiding Lily toward a private room. The dog never left her side. Not even once. Claire watched quietly. Then she returned to work. Hours passed. The emergency department settled into its usual rhythm. Captain Bennett remained in treatment. Lily stayed in a pediatric observation room. The dog remained outside her door. At approximately 2:30 in the morning, Claire walked past the room carrying medication for another patient. The dog immediately lifted its head. Its eyes locked onto her. Most people became uncomfortable under that kind of stare. Claire did not. She simply continued walking. The dog followed her movement until she disappeared around the corner. Interesting. Very interesting. When she returned 15 minutes later, the animal reacted again. Not aggressively. Not defensively. Just attentive. As if recognizing something. Officer Daniel Brooks from hospital security approached nearby. He glanced toward the dog. That thing hasn't relaxed once. Claire stopped. What did the handler say? No handler. Claire looked at him. No handler. Captain Bennett is the handler. Daniel shrugged. At least that's what military transport told us. Claire looked back toward the animal. The information seemed to concern her, though only slightly. A trained military dog without its primary handler could become unpredictable under stress, especially after a traumatic event. Inside the room, Lily sat quietly reading. The dog remained positioned between her and the hallway. Watching. Always watching. Daniel shook his head. Creeps me out. Claire studied the animal. No. What? It isn't afraid. Daniel laughed lightly. Looks nervous to me. Claire looked down the corridor. No. Her voice remained calm. It thinks it's working. Daniel frowned. Before he could ask another question, Claire continued walking. The conversation ended there. But the thought remained with her. Because she had seen military working dogs before. Many years ago. And this behavior felt familiar. Far too familiar. Near 3 in the morning, Dr. Michael Harris emerged from the trauma unit. Captain Bennett is stable. Several staff members visibly relaxed. Good news was rare on overnight shifts. Claire simply nodded. Then she noticed something. The dog had reacted. Not dramatically. Just a slight movement. Its ears shifted. Its attention sharpened. For a brief moment, the animal stared toward the far end of the hallway. Toward a service corridor. Empty. Silent. Nothing appeared unusual. Yet the dog continued watching. Motionless. Focused. Claire followed its gaze. Something about the moment bothered her. Not enough to raise an alarm. Not yet. But enough to remember. A few minutes later, she returned to work. The night continued. Patients arrived. Patients left. Machines beeped. Doctors moved between rooms. And somewhere inside St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center, an invisible problem was beginning to grow. Only one person had noticed the first sign. And even she did not yet understand how serious it would become. By 3:30 in the morning, the emergency department had settled into the strange calm that often arrived before dawn. The waiting room was quieter. The trauma bays were no longer crowded. Most of the hospital lights had been dimmed for the night. Yet Rex remained awake. The Belgian Malinois had not rested once since arriving. He sat outside Lily Bennett's room like a statue. Watching. Listening. Waiting. Nurse Julia Reed noticed it first. "That dog hasn't even closed his eyes." Officer Daniel Brooks leaned against the nurse's station. "Military dogs are different." "Different is one thing." Julia glanced toward the pediatric hallway. "That animal looks like he's expecting trouble." Daniel shrugged. "Maybe that's how they're trained." Claire Morgan listened without speaking. She was reviewing patient charts nearby, but part of her attention remained fixed on the dog. Because Julia was right. Rex wasn't behaving like a stressed animal. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't whining. He wasn't confused. He was conducting security. The distinction mattered. A lot. At 4 o'clock, Dr. Rebecca Collins completed another examination of Captain Ethan Bennett. His condition remained stable. Several fractures. A concussion. Significant blood loss. But he would recover. The update was delivered to Lily. The young girl nodded politely, then looked back toward the door. Toward Rex. The dog immediately relaxed slightly after seeing her. Only slightly. The moment passed almost instantly. Claire noticed it anyway. She always noticed small things. That was one reason patients trusted her. Another nurse might focus on charts. Claire focused on people. And sometimes animals. Especially when something felt wrong. Around 4:15, a hospital employee entered the pediatric wing carrying cleaning supplies. Nothing unusual. Nothing threatening. Yet Rex suddenly stood. His muscles tightened. His eyes followed the man from one end of the hallway to the other. The cleaner continued walking. Unaware. The dog remained alert until he disappeared. Then slowly sat back down. Claire watched the entire interaction. The response bothered her. Not because the dog reacted. Because of how he reacted. There had been no aggression. No fear. No confusion. Only assessment. The animal had identified a person. Tracked him. Evaluated him. Then dismissed him. Almost like a trained security professional. Daniel noticed Claire watching. "You really don't like that dog, do you?" Claire shook her head. "Actually, I do." Daniel looked surprised. "Then why do you keep staring at him?" Claire closed her tablet. "Because he's trying to tell us something." Daniel laughed softly. "A dog?" "Yes." "What exactly is he saying?" Claire looked toward the hallway. "That he doesn't think this place is secure." The answer lingered between them. Daniel smiled politely. But it was obvious he did not take the comment seriously. Most people wouldn't. Not yet. An hour later, another strange incident occurred. A volunteer entered the pediatric wing carrying breakfast menus for morning distribution. The elderly woman had worked at the hospital for years. Everyone knew her. Everyone trusted her. Except Rex. The dog immediately moved between Lily and the doorway. Not aggressive. Protective. The volunteer froze. "Oh my." Lily looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry." "It's okay, sweetheart." The woman backed away slowly. Rex relaxed. The hallway conversation spread quickly. By 5 in the morning, nearly everyone on the floor had heard about the protective military dog. Most found it amusing. A few found it concerning. Only Claire seemed genuinely troubled. Because the pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. The dog wasn't reacting randomly. He was making decisions. Intentional decisions. Calculated decisions. And every hour those decisions seemed more focused. Near dawn, Officer Brooks approached Claire again. This time he looked less relaxed. Something strange happened. Claire looked up. "What?" Daniel lowered his voice. "Someone tried accessing the pediatric visitor records." Claire's eyes narrowed slightly. "When?" "About 20 minutes ago." "Who?" "We don't know." That answer immediately bothered her. Hospitals tracked everything. Every login. Every access attempt. Every employee. Every visitor. Unknown activity was unusual. Very unusual. What information were they looking for? Claire asked. Lily Bennett's room assignment. Claire said nothing. Daniel continued. IT blocked the attempt. Internal or external? We don't know yet. The conversation ended when Daniel's radio crackled. He walked away. But the information remained. Someone had attempted to locate Lily. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe. Yet Claire remembered the way Rex had behaved all night. The timing felt wrong. Too many small incidents. Too many coincidences. The cleaning employee. The volunteer. The access attempt. The constant vigilance. Individually, none of it proved anything. Together, they formed a pattern. And Claire had spent enough years around dangerous situations to respect patterns. Especially before they became emergencies. At 6 in the morning, the first sunlight began appearing beyond the hospital windows. Most staff believed the difficult part of the night was over. The worst seemed behind them. Captain Bennett was stable. Lily was safe. The hospital remained calm. Everything appeared normal. But when Claire passed Lily's room one final time before shift change, she noticed Rex again. The dog was staring toward the elevators. Completely motionless. Completely focused. As if waiting for someone. Or expecting someone. Claire stopped walking. For several seconds she watched the animal. Then she followed his line of sight. The elevator doors stood closed. Silent. Empty. Nothing seemed unusual. Yet Rex continued staring. Without blinking. Without moving. Claire felt a quiet weight settle in her chest. Not fear. Instinct. The kind developed through experience. The kind that rarely announced itself with certainty. Only warnings. Small warnings. The kind people often ignored. The kind that sometimes saved lives. As she turned away, she glanced back one final time. Rex was still watching the elevators. And for the first time all night, Claire found herself hoping the dog was wrong. Most night shifts ended quietly. This one did not. Claire Morgan should have been leaving. Her shift officially ended at 6. Instead, she remained another hour to help with staffing shortages. Nobody asked her to stay. She simply saw the problem and stayed. That was who she was. The hospital slowly transitioned into daytime operations. Doctors arrived. Administrators appeared. Visitors began entering through the main lobby. Everything looked normal. But underneath that normal routine, small fractures were beginning to appear. At 6:15, Officer Daniel Brooks received another call from hospital IT. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. When it ended, his expression had changed. Claire noticed immediately. What happened? Daniel hesitated. Then answered. Another access attempt. Lily Bennett. He nodded. Again. Claire set down a patient chart. From where? Different terminal. Authorized employee. Daniel shook his head. No login credentials. That was worse. Much worse. Someone was trying to locate a child inside the hospital. Without authorization. Twice. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Administration thinks it's probably a mistake. Claire remained silent. She clearly disagreed. But she didn't argue. She simply absorbed the information. Across the hall, Rex remained beside Lily. The dog had still not relaxed. Not once. Around 7 in the morning, Captain Ethan Bennett regained consciousness. The news spread quickly through the medical team. Dr. Michael Harris entered the recovery room. Several nurses followed. Questions were asked. Neurological assessments were performed. Everything appeared positive. The captain was injured but alert. Claire watched briefly from outside before returning to her duties. A few minutes later, Sergeant Ryan Cole arrived from the military liaison office. He immediately requested an update. After speaking with physicians, he headed toward Lily's room. Rex recognized him instantly. For the first time all night, the dog showed visible comfort. His posture softened. His tail moved once. Only once. But it was enough. Claire noticed. The reaction confirmed something important. The dog trusted the sergeant completely. Meaning every other reaction mattered even more. Near 8 o'clock, Hospital security reviewed surveillance footage connected to the unauthorized access attempts. Daniel sat with 2 technicians inside the monitoring office. The results were frustrating. Both attempts originated from public access areas. The individual responsible had remained outside camera range. Intentional, careful, professional. When Daniel left the office, he looked concerned. This was no longer feeling like curiosity. Someone was avoiding identification. That changed everything. Meanwhile, Claire entered Lily's room carrying breakfast. The young girl sat quietly by the window. Rex remained beside her chair. "How are you feeling?" Claire asked. Lily shrugged. "Tired." "That's understandable." Claire placed the tray nearby. Lily glanced toward the intensive care wing. "When can I see my dad?" "Soon." The answer seemed to help. For several moments neither spoke. Then Lily asked a question. "Why does everyone keep staring at Rex?" Claire looked at the dog. "Because he's very good at his job." Lily smiled faintly. "That's what Dad says." The smile disappeared quickly. Worry returned. Claire noticed. "You trust him?" Lily nodded immediately. "More than anybody." Rex lifted his head slightly as if understanding. Claire believed he probably did. Military working dogs often formed extraordinary bonds with the people they protected. This one clearly had. As Claire prepared to leave, Rex suddenly stood. His ears moved forward. The change happened instantly. Claire froze. The dog stared directly toward the hallway. Focused. Alert. Ready. A moment later a man walked past the room. Average height. Hospital maintenance uniform. Tool bag. Nothing obviously suspicious. Yet Rex tracked every step. The man disappeared around the corner. The dog remained standing, watching, waiting, then finally relaxed. Claire looked down the corridor. Something about the encounter felt wrong. Not because of the man. Because of Rex. The animal had reacted with unusual intensity. Again. Later that morning, Daniel Brooks approached Claire near the nurse's station. "I checked employee records." "For the maintenance worker?" Daniel blinked. "How did you know?" Claire didn't answer the question. Daniel continued. "No maintenance assignment on that floor." The words settled heavily. "When?" "About an hour ago." Claire looked toward the pediatric wing. "Did you find him?" "No." That answer bothered both of them. Hospitals were complicated buildings. Large. Crowded. Easy places to disappear. Especially if someone knew what they were doing. For the first time, Daniel no longer looked skeptical. He looked worried. At 9:30, a meeting was quietly held between hospital administration and security personnel. No public announcement was made. No alarms sounded. Nobody wanted panic. The official position remained simple. There was no confirmed threat. Only unusual activity. But Claire could feel attitudes changing. People were paying attention now. Unfortunately, the person responsible appeared to be moving faster. Just before 10 o'clock, another incident occurred. A temporary visitor badge was discovered inside a restricted corridor. The badge was counterfeit. High quality. Professionally made. And completely unauthorized. Daniel stared at it for several seconds. Then immediately ordered a wider security review. The situation had crossed a line. This was no longer coincidence. Someone was inside the hospital. Someone was attempting to move freely through secured areas. Someone interested in information connected to Lily Bennett. Claire stood nearby when the discovery was reported. She remained calm. Outwardly unchanged. Yet internally, old instincts were beginning to wake. Patterns. Timing. Observation. Preparation. Skills she rarely used anymore. Skills she hoped she would not need. Across the pediatric wing, Rex suddenly lifted his head again. His eyes locked toward the far end of the hallway. The same direction. The same focus. The same silent warning. And this time, Claire noticed something she had missed before. The dog wasn't searching. He wasn't uncertain. He seemed to know exactly where the danger was. He just couldn't explain it. So he did the only thing he could. He watched. And waited. By late morning, tension had settled over St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center. Not panic. Not fear. Just tension. The kind people felt before they understood why they were uncomfortable. Security officers increased patrols. Administrators held quiet meetings. Staff members exchanged concerned looks in hallways. And through all of it, Rex remained beside Lily Bennett. Watching. Waiting. Refusing to lower his guard. At 11 o'clock, Dr. Michael Harris authorized a controlled visit between Captain Ethan Bennett and his daughter. The reunion was expected to be simple. A brief visit. Nothing more. Instead, it became the moment everything changed. Officer Daniel Brooks escorted 2 nurses toward Lily's room. One carried medical paperwork. The other prepared equipment for the transfer. Routine procedure. Nothing unusual. Yet the instant they approached the doorway, Rex stood. The dog's posture transformed. His muscles tightened. His ears moved forward. A low growl rolled from deep inside his chest. Everyone stopped. The growl grew louder. The nurses froze. Daniel raised a hand. Easy. Rex did not move. His eyes never left the hallway. Lily looked frightened. Rex. The dog ignored her. That alarmed Claire immediately. A trained protection dog would normally respond to the person under his protection. This time he did not. Something else had his attention. Several doctors emerged from nearby rooms. The hallway quickly filled with people. Questions began spreading. Nobody understood what was happening. Then a physician attempted to walk past. Rex stepped directly into the corridor, blocking the route. The growling intensified. Hospital staff backed away. "What is wrong with him?" one nurse asked. Daniel slowly reached for his radio. "Everyone give him space." For several seconds nobody moved. Then an administrator arrived. Already frustrated. "We can't have a dangerous dog threatening staff." "He's not threatening anyone," Daniel replied. "He looks threatening." The argument continued. Meanwhile, Rex remained focused on the same direction. The far end of the hallway. The elevators. Again. Always the elevators. Claire noticed. So did Daniel. The elevator doors opened. A family exited. Rex did not react. The doors closed. The hallway settled. Then, 30 seconds later, another elevator arrived. The doors opened again. A man stepped out wearing hospital scrubs. Rex immediately lunged forward 1 step. The growl became vicious. Security officers reacted instantly. The man stopped. Startled. The entire hallway froze. Then something unexpected happened. The man quickly turned around and walked away. Fast. Too fast. Daniel noticed it immediately. So did Claire. The elevator doors closed. The man disappeared. Rex continued growling. Now everyone was staring. "What was that?" Dr. Collins asked. Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. The situation was rapidly spiraling. Hospital leadership wanted the dog removed. Security wanted more time. Doctors wanted access to Lily. The hallway filled with conflicting instructions. Through all of it, Claire remained silent, watching, thinking. Then Rex suddenly shifted. Not toward the elevators. Toward a nurse approaching Lily's room. The dog moved directly into her path. The nurse stumbled backward. Fear spread instantly. Several people began shouting. "Get that dog out of here. Move the child. Call animal control." Rex barked once. Loud. Sharp. Every conversation stopped. Claire made her decision. Without asking permission, she stepped forward. "Claire," Daniel warned. She ignored him. The hallway watched. Several staff members expected disaster. They assumed the dog would react the same way. Instead, Claire walked calmly toward him. No fear. No sudden movements. No challenge. Only calm. Rex stared at her. The growling continued. Claire stopped a few feet away. Then she spoke. One word. One call sign. Sentinel. The reaction was immediate. The growling stopped. Completely. Rex's ears lifted. His posture changed. Within seconds, the dog stepped aside. The entire hallway fell silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Daniel stared. Dr. Harris stared. Dr. Collins stared. Even Lily looked shocked. Claire simply stood there. Calm. As if nothing unusual had happened. Daniel finally found his voice. How did you do that? Claire looked at him. It wasn't difficult. That wasn't what I asked. She offered no explanation. The silence that followed felt heavier than any answer. Because everyone had witnessed the same thing. The dog had ignored security. Ignored administrators. Ignored physicians. Yet one word from Claire Morgan had instantly changed his behavior. One word she should not have known. Sergeant Ryan Cole arrived moments later after being alerted. When he heard the call sign, his expression changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Enough for Claire to notice. Enough for Daniel to notice too. The sergeant looked directly at her. For several seconds neither spoke. Then he simply nodded. A small nod. Professional. Respectful. Recognition. Nothing more. Yet it raised even more questions. Because military personnel did not casually recognize civilian nurses that way. Not usually. The hallway slowly returned to normal. People resumed their work. Conversations restarted. But something fundamental had changed. The underappreciated nurse everyone had overlooked now carried an invisible weight around her. People watched her differently. Listened more carefully. Wondered more often. Who was Claire Morgan? How did she know the dog's operational call sign? Why had a military sergeant reacted the way he had? Nobody had answers. Not yet. But elsewhere inside the hospital, someone else had been watching. Someone who now understood a dangerous truth. Claire Morgan was not what she appeared to be. And for the first time since entering the hospital, that unknown person adjusted their plans. The game had changed. And the real crisis was only beginning. After the hallway incident, St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center became quieter in a strange way. Not peaceful. Controlled. As if everyone had started speaking more carefully, walking more carefully, thinking more carefully. Claire Morgan felt it immediately. People were watching her now. Not openly. Not directly. But in the pauses between conversations. In the way voices lowered when she passed. In the way questions stopped halfway through being asked. Officer Daniel Brooks was the first to formally bring it up. He found Claire near the medication preparation station just after noon. No crowd this time. Just the two of them. Claire, he said. She didn't look up immediately. Yes. Daniel hesitated, choosing his words carefully. We need to talk about what happened in the pediatric wing. Claire placed a chart down. Which part? The call sign. Silence followed. Not dramatic. Just present. Claire resumed organizing supplies. I don't have anything to say about it. That's the problem, Daniel replied. He stepped slightly closer. You used a military command response with a trained operational K-9. Claire finally looked at him. Calm. Unshaken. And Daniel frowned. And that is not something a civilian nurse just knows. Before Claire could respond, Dr. Michael Harris approached from the corridor. He had clearly been informed. Behind him walked Dr. Rebecca Collins. And, unexpectedly, a new presence. A man in a dark suit. Controlled posture. Professional demeanor. Agent Thomas Walker. Federal Protective Liaison. He did not waste time. Miss Morgan, he said directly. Claire acknowledged him with a small nod. Agent Walker. That simple recognition changed the tone instantly. Daniel noticed it. So did Dr. Harris. Walker continued. We've been informed of a military K-9 command response being issued inside this hospital. Claire remained silent. Walker studied her carefully. Explain how you have operational familiarity with a restricted call sign. The question was direct. No softness. No assumption of misunderstanding. Claire did not answer immediately. Instead, she looked past them, toward the pediatric wing, toward Lily Bennett's room. Then she spoke quietly. "I responded to a situation." "That is not an answer," Walker said. "It is the only one you need." The room tightened. Dr. Harris stepped in. "Agent Walker, we are still treating patients. This is a hospital, not an interrogation room." Walker didn't move his eyes from Claire. "Then help us understand what we are dealing with." Claire finally turned fully toward him. For the first time, her voice carried a slight edge. "Right now, you are dealing with a child who has a trained military protection asset refusing entry to anyone it does not trust." She paused. "And a system that has already been accessed twice by an unknown individual attempting to locate her room." Silence returned. This time heavier. Daniel shifted slightly. "That access is being investigated," he said. Claire nodded. "Good. Then focus on that." Walker narrowed his eyes. "You are deflecting. I am prioritizing." No one spoke after that, because both statements were technically correct, and neither solved anything. At that moment, Sergeant Ryan Cole arrived again. He had been moving between hospital security and military channels since early morning. His presence immediately changed the dynamic. He looked at Walker, then at Claire, then spoke carefully. "Agent Walker." Walker acknowledged him. "Sergeant." Cole hesitated, then added one line. "She is not your concern right now." The room went still. Walker studied him. "You are vouching for her." "I am saying you are asking the wrong questions." That answer created more silence than it resolved. Walker finally stepped back slightly. Not surrendering. Reassessing. Dr. Harris cleared his throat. "We need to stabilize the situation. That includes the K-9, the patient, and hospital security." Claire spoke again. "Then stabilize the breach first." Daniel frowned. "You're saying there is an active breach." "I am saying someone has already tried twice to locate a child inside a secured medical facility." Her tone remained steady. That was what made it unsettling. No emotion, just certainty. Walker finally asked the question everyone was avoiding. "Who do you think is doing it?" Claire looked at him. "I don't know." A pause. "But I know what it looks like when someone is testing a system." The words landed heavily, because they were not theoretical. They sounded experienced. Walker noticed that too. So did Cole. Dr. Collins quietly spoke. "If what you're suggesting is true, then the pediatric wing is compromised." Claire corrected her. "Not compromised." She looked toward the corridor. Observed. The distinction mattered. It meant someone was watching. Not inside yet, but close enough to try. At that moment, hospital IT security entered the discussion via radio call. Daniel answered immediately. His expression changed as he listened. "What is it?" Dr. Harris asked. Daniel lowered the radio. "A third access attempt." Walker's attention sharpened instantly. "Same target?" Daniel nodded. "Yes." "Lily Bennett's room." Silence. This time, nobody tried to minimize it. Nobody suggested coincidence. Even Dr. Harris looked unsettled. Claire spoke softly. "Now it is no longer testing." Walker asked immediately. "What do you mean?" Claire met his gaze. "It means they are narrowing their approach." A long pause followed. Then Sergeant Cole spoke quietly. "We may need to relocate the patient." Rex, still visible through the pediatric glass panel, suddenly lifted his head, as if reacting to the word. "Relocate." The dog stood slowly. His attention sharpened again. Watching the hallway. Waiting. Claire noticed. So did everyone else. Walker finally spoke. "Until we identify the source, no movement happens without full coordination." Daniel nodded. "Agreed." Dr. Harris agreed too. But Claire remained silent. Because she was not looking at policy. She was looking at behavior. And Rex had just confirmed something she already suspected. The dog was not reacting to noise, or movement, or confusion. He was reacting to intention. Someone was getting closer. And whatever came next would not be another test. It would be the real attempt. By mid-afternoon, St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center had changed its rhythm completely. The hospital was still functioning. But nothing felt normal anymore. Security checkpoints appeared at corridor intersections. Visitor movement became restricted. Staff badges were checked twice before entry into sensitive zones. And the pediatric wing, once a quiet section of the hospital, had become the most protected area in the building. Claire Morgan moved through it all without drawing attention. As always. But now, attention followed her anyway. Not openly. Not officially. Just in the way conversations stopped when she entered a room. Agent Thomas Walker had authorized a partial internal lockdown after the third access attempt. No announcement was made to patients. No panic was allowed. But everyone inside the hospital could feel it. Something had tightened. Something had shifted. Officer Daniel Brooks stood near the central security desk reviewing live camera feeds. Dr. Michael Harris joined him briefly. "We're losing flexibility," Harris said. "We're gaining control," Daniel replied. Harris didn't look convinced. "That depends on whether we're reacting to a real threat or a pattern of coincidences." Daniel didn't answer immediately, because he didn't know anymore. Nearby, Sergeant Ryan Cole coordinated with military liaison channels through a secured phone line. His voice stayed low, measured, professional, but occasionally his eyes would shift toward Claire, observing, evaluating, like he was trying to place her inside a category that didn't fully exist on paper. Claire, meanwhile, stood beside Nurse Julia Reed in the medication corridor. Julia spoke quietly. "I've worked here 7 years. Claire looked up briefly. Julia continued. "I've never seen the hospital feel like this." Claire nodded once. "Because it's not random anymore." Julia frowned. "What isn't?" Claire paused, then answered. "The pattern." Before Julia could respond, a loud notification came through Daniel's radio. His expression changed instantly. He stood up. Security breach confirmed. Dr. Harris turned. "Where?" Daniel checked the message again. "Sublevel maintenance corridor." Walker immediately moved closer. "Who accessed it?" "Unknown." That single word changed the temperature in the room. Unknown was no longer theoretical. It was now physical. Real. Inside the building. Sergeant Cole spoke quickly. "Lockdown pediatric wing completely." Daniel nodded. "Already in motion." Alarms did not sound. But doors began sealing in controlled sections of the hospital. Soft mechanical clicks echoed through hallways. Patients looked around, confused. Staff began moving faster. But not panicked. Controlled urgency. Claire's attention sharpened. She looked toward Rex. The dog was standing again. Perfectly still. Focused downward. Not at people. At movement below. The maintenance level. Claire spoke softly. "He's not reacting to the hospital." Julia turned. "What?" Claire clarified. "He's reacting to movement beneath us." As if confirming her observation, Rex suddenly turned his head sharply toward the service stairwell. Growl. Low. Controlled. Not panic. Warning. Daniel noticed immediately through the security feed. "Why is the dog reacting like that again?" No one answered. Because no one knew the full answer. Walker looked toward Claire. "This is your interpretation?" Claire didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Based on what?" She paused. "Pattern consistency." Walker frowned. "That's not evidence." "It is when it repeats." Before the conversation could continue, a new update arrived. A maintenance badge had been detected on sublevel access logs. Used incorrectly. Then discarded. Daniel read the report twice. "This isn't an attempt anymore," he said quietly. Dr. Harris stepped closer. "What is it then?" Daniel looked up. Someone is already inside the lower corridor system. Silence spread instantly. Even Walker stopped speaking. Sergeant Cole immediately gave instructions over comms. Secure pediatric wing. No movement without escort. Then something unexpected happened. Rex moved. Not aggressively. Not wildly. Purposefully. He walked toward Lily Bennett's room door. Stopped. Sat down. Facing the hallway. Not the room. The hallway. Claire observed carefully. "He's guarding the approach," she said quietly. Julia looked uneasy. "From inside the hospital?" Claire nodded. "Yes." Walker turned slightly toward Daniel. "I want full evacuation protocols prepared." Daniel hesitated. "That's a major escalation." Walker didn't blink. "So is an unidentified intruder moving through a restricted medical facility with a protected patient inside it." That ended the argument. Preparations began immediately. But Claire did not move with the others. She stayed near the glass window of Lily's room. Rex remained still beside her. Lily sat inside, unaware of the full situation but sensing tension. She looked up at Claire. "Is everything okay?" Claire paused before answering. "Yes," she said gently. But her eyes did not leave the hallway. Because she knew the truth. Things were not okay. They were converging. Somewhere below them, in the hospital's maintenance corridors, an unknown presence was moving closer. And Rex already knew it. Before anyone else did. Before alarms. Before confirmation. Before permission. The dog had already drawn the line. The hospital did not evacuate. Not fully. Agent Thomas Walker stopped the full evacuation order after a brief consultation with Military Liaison Command. The reason was simple. Moving Lily Bennett in uncertainty could increase exposure rather than reduce it. So instead, St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center shifted into controlled containment. Locked corridors. Restricted movement. Silent coordination. And a single priority. Keep the child safe. Claire Morgan understood what that meant. It meant responsibility had narrowed. And pressure had increased. She stood near the pediatric wing observation glass while Daniel Brooks coordinated corridor security. Sergeant Ryan Cole checked communication lines repeatedly, waiting for confirmation from external support teams. Dr. Michael Harris remained in constant contact with ICU and trauma units, ensuring no disruption to critical care. But all of it circled back to one point. Lily Bennett's room. And the hallway leading to it. Rex had not moved. Still sitting. Still facing the corridor. Still alert. But his behavior had changed slightly. Not aggression. Not panic. Focus. Tighter. More precise. As if he had identified a direction. Claire noticed it immediately. "He's tracking movement," she said quietly. Julia Reed stood beside her. "From where?" Claire did not answer immediately. "Then, below us." Julia frowned. "The maintenance levels?" Claire nodded. "Yes." Daniel overheard the exchange and approached. "We've sealed sub-level access points." Claire responded without looking at him. "That slows movement. It doesn't stop someone already inside." Daniel hesitated. "That's speculation." Claire finally looked at him. "No. It's pattern recognition." Silence followed. Walker joined them moments later. "We are receiving conflicting reports from maintenance teams," he said. "Conflicting how?" Daniel asked. Walker checked his tablet. One team reports no unauthorized movement. Another reports hearing footsteps in restricted corridors. Dr. Harris stepped in. "That's not possible." Walker replied calmly. "It is when someone understands hospital infrastructure better than hospital staff." That statement changed the tone instantly, because it implied intention. Not accident. Not coincidence. Skill. Sergeant Cole spoke quietly. "We are dealing with someone trained." Walker nodded once. "That appears likely." Claire's gaze remained fixed on the corridor. Rex suddenly shifted his posture. Not standing. Not sitting differently. Just adjusting his weight. Subtle, but meaningful. Claire noticed immediately. "What is it?" Julia asked. Claire answered slowly. "He's preparing." "Preparing for what?" Claire did not respond, because she already knew the answer. A moment later, Daniel's radio crackled again. His expression changed instantly. "What now?" Walker asked. Daniel listened, then lowered the radio. "There's movement on the second sub-level stairwell." "Confirmed?" Cole asked sharply. Daniel nodded. "Yes." Visual confirmation for 2 seconds before camera feed dropped. Walker's voice hardened. "Lock that section completely." "It already is locked," Daniel replied. Walker looked toward Cole. "Then how is anyone moving through it?" Cole answered carefully. "They may not be using official access points." Silence. Claire spoke quietly. "Service tunnels." Everyone turned to her. Daniel frowned. "There are no service tunnels that connect to pediatric wing." Claire corrected him. "Not officially documented." Walker studied her. "How do you know that?" Claire paused, a fraction longer than usual, then answered, "I've worked enough hospitals." That answer was technically true, but incomplete, and everyone in the room knew it. Rex suddenly stood. No warning, no hesitation. His body angled toward the corridor entrance. Growl returned. Low, sharp, controlled. The sound was different this time. Less warning, more certainty. Julia stepped back slightly. "He knows something is coming." Claire didn't move. "I know." Daniel raised his radio. Security teams moved to pediatric corridor immediately. Cole followed. "Maintain silent approach. No unnecessary noise." Walker watched Rex closely. "This dog is tracking someone." Claire nodded once. "Yes." "Who?" Claire finally looked at him. "I don't think he knows the identity." A pause. "But he knows the direction." That statement landed heavily, because it meant the threat was close enough to be felt, but not yet seen. Inside Lily's room, the young girl pressed closer to the bed window. Rex shifted slightly backward, placing himself directly between her and the hallway. Claire noticed something else. The dog was no longer scanning randomly. He was fixed, locked, waiting for a specific moment, as if anticipating contact. Walker spoke quietly. "If this escalates inside the wing, we will lose control of patient safety." Cole responded immediately. "Then we don't let it escalate." Daniel added, "We intercept in the corridor." Claire finally spoke again. "That assumes you know where the contact will occur." Silence. Because they didn't. Rex did. But he couldn't communicate it in words. Only posture. Only tension. Only direction. A long moment passed. Then Walker made a decision. Restrict all movement to single-point corridor control. No unauthorized entry or exit. Cole nodded. Already in motion. Daniel followed orders. Teams repositioned. The hospital shifted again. Slower now. Heavier. More focused. Claire remained near Lily's room. Rex stayed beside her. For the first time, the dog briefly looked at Claire. Not the hallway. Not the threat. Her. A short glance. Acknowledgement. Claire returned it silently. No words passed. None were needed. Because both understood the same truth. Whatever was coming next was already inside the building. And time was no longer on their side. The hospital lights felt colder after sunset. Not physically. Emotionally. St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center had entered a controlled silence. Corridors that once carried constant movement now held station security teams. Doors remained locked. Communication was reduced to short, precise updates. Every sound mattered. Every step mattered. Every decision mattered. Claire Morgan stood just outside the pediatric wing glass, watching Lily Bennett sit quietly inside her room. Rex was still there. Still between the child and the hallway. But now he was no longer only watching. He was waiting. For confirmation. For contact. For something only he seemed to fully understand. Officer Daniel Brooks moved past Claire with a tactical checklist in hand. "Second corridor secured," he said briefly. Claire nodded. "Sublevel. Sealed." Daniel paused for a second. "But there's movement confusion in the service grid." Claire turned slightly. "Confusion?" Daniel lowered his voice. 3 motion alerts. Different locations. Same time window. That shouldn't happen. Claire absorbed the information quietly. "It means they're not moving in a straight line," she said. Daniel frowned. "Then how are they moving?" Claire looked toward the floor indicator panel near the corridor entrance. "Through blind infrastructure." Daniel didn't respond immediately, because he understood what that implied. Sergeant Ryan Cole arrived moments later, speaking into a secured radio. "Team Alpha, hold position. No engagement unless visual confirmation." Then he looked toward Claire. "Any change?" Claire shook her head slightly. "Not yet." Agent Thomas Walker stood near the central monitoring station, reviewing live feeds with 2 analysts. His voice was calm, but tighter than before. "If they reach pediatric wing access, we intercept immediately." Dr. Michael Harris stood beside him. "That will put patients at risk." Walker didn't look away from the screen. "Not acting puts all of them at risk." The argument ended there, because neither side was wrong. Only timing remained uncertain. Inside Lily's room, the young girl spoke softly to Rex. "Why are you so tense?" The dog didn't respond, but his posture changed slightly. Closer. More protective. As if acknowledging the question without language. Claire watched through the glass. And something about that moment unsettled her. Not fear. Recognition. Because Rex was no longer reacting like a standard protection unit. He was reacting like someone who expected to face a known tactic. That meant experience. Real experience. At 9:14 p.m., the first real breach occurred. It did not trigger alarms. It did not involve forced entry. It was quieter. Subtle. A maintenance door on the second sublevel reported a temporary override in access logs. For exactly 6 seconds. Then it stopped. Daniel read the report twice. "This is not accidental," he said. Walker immediately stepped closer. Location. Directly beneath pediatric corridor. Silence followed. Cole immediately activated corridor containment protocol. No one moves without clearance. Claire's gaze sharpened. Rex stood instantly. No hesitation. The change was immediate. His entire focus locked forward. Downward. Toward the corridor junction. A low growl formed again. But this time it was sustained. Not warning. Confirmation. Claire whispered quietly. "It's starting." Daniel heard her. "What is?" Claire didn't look away. "The approach." A moment later, a distant metallic sound echoed faintly through the hospital structure. Not loud, but distinct. Like movement through service metal pathways. Walker looked up sharply. "Did anyone else hear that?" Cole nodded. "Yes." Dr. Harris looked unsettled. "That came from beneath us." Daniel raised his radio immediately. "Security teams confirm all sub-level access points." Static followed. Then a delayed response. Sublevel East Corridor shows motion interference. Cameras partially offline. Walker's expression tightened. "Define interference." "Unknown obstruction. Possibly deliberate." Silence returned. Rex suddenly stepped 1 pace forward, blocking Lily more directly. Claire reacted instantly. She moved closer to the glass. Rex did not look at her this time. His attention remained fixed forward, completely locked. Cole spoke quietly. "He knows exactly where it is." Walker turned. "How?" Claire answered carefully. "Because it's approaching through a predictable route." Daniel frowned. "There is nothing predictable about this building's sublevel system." Claire finally looked at him. "Not to you." That statement changed the atmosphere. because it implied something none of them had fully considered. The intruder was not guessing. He was navigating. The next few minutes passed without speech. Only monitoring. Only waiting. Then it happened. A corridor sensor near pediatric wing registered movement. Then another. Then another. All within seconds. Walker immediately gave the order. Hold all positions. Cole raised his hand. Team ready. Daniel stared at the feed. Visual not confirmed yet. Claire remained still. Rex lowered his head slightly. Muscles tight. Focused. Waiting for the final trigger. A sound echoed again. Closer this time. Metal scraping lightly against structure beneath the hospital floor. Then silence. A long silence. Too long. And then Rex barked once. Sharp. Immediate. The sound cut through the entire wing. Every security officer froze. Walker turned instantly. What triggered that? Claire answered softly. Arrival. A second later, motion sensors in the pediatric wing corridor spiked. Simultaneously. Not scattered. Not random. Direct. Aligned. Cole raised his radio. Contact imminent. Daniel tightened his grip on the radio. Eyes on corridor. Claire didn't move. Neither did Rex. But both were ready. The hospital had reached the point of convergence. No more speculation. No more guessing. Only contact remained. And it was about to happen. The corridor outside the pediatric wing had gone completely silent. Not the normal hospital silence. This was different. This was the silence that followed preparation, when every human sound had been reduced to controlled breathing, monitored positions, and waiting fingers on radios. Claire Morgan stood just outside Lily Bennett's room. Rex remained in front of the door. Still. Locked. Focused. No movement wasted. No hesitation. Agent Thomas Walker's voice came through the secured channel. All teams hold positions. No engagement until visual confirmation. Sergeant Ryan Cole stood at the corridor junction with two armed security officers. His posture was steady, but his eyes never left the floor indicators. Something was moving underneath them. Slowly. Precisely. Dr. Michael Harris stayed further back, near the emergency access point, coordinating patient safety routes. He looked exhausted, but alert. Officer Daniel Brooks spoke quietly into his radio. Sublevel motion confirmed. Moving toward pediatric wing access point. Static answered him first. Then a reply. Unable to maintain full visual. Interference increasing. Walker turned toward the floor map display. This is coordinated, he said quietly. No one responded. Because they all already knew. Claire's attention stayed on Rex. The dog had not shifted in several minutes. But his breathing had changed. Shorter. Controlled. Anticipatory. Not fear. Readiness. Lily sat on her bed inside the room, sensing the tension even without understanding it fully. Claire, she called softly through the glass. Claire turned slightly. Yes. Is my dad okay? Claire paused, then answered. Yes. He is stable. That was the truth. And enough for now. Rex shifted one step closer to the door. Claire noticed instantly. Her eyes narrowed slightly. He's here, she said quietly. Daniel heard her. What do you mean, here? Claire didn't answer immediately, because she was listening. Not to sound. To timing. To movement. To structure. Then she said it. He's no longer moving below. A pause. He's transitioning upward. Walker immediately responded. Which access point? Cole checked his feed. Maintenance junction near pediatric stairwell. Daniel swore under his breath. That leads directly into Corridor B. Walker gave the order instantly. Seal Corridor B now. Security teams moved. Fast. Controlled. Metal doors began locking down. Mechanical sounds echoed through the hospital. But even as systems responded, Rex reacted. Instantly. He turned toward the stairwell entrance. Growl returned. Stronger now. Sustained. Claire stepped slightly closer to the glass. "This is it," she said quietly. Walker's voice sharpened. Visual confirmation required. Cole raised his weapon slightly. "Ready." Daniel held his position. Motion approaching stairwell exit. The seconds stretched. 1, 2, 3, then. A sound. Metal door pressure. Slow. Controlled. Not forced. But opened. Walker spoke sharply. "Hold fire until confirmation." The stairwell door at the end of the corridor moved. Just slightly. Then fully opened. A man stepped out. Not rushing. Not panicking. Deliberate. He wore maintenance clothing. But it was too clean. Too structured. Too intentional. He looked down the corridor. Then forward. And paused. For the first time, Rex moved. He stepped in front of Lily's door fully, blocking it completely. Growl intensified. The man stopped. The entire corridor froze. No one spoke. No one moved. The man's eyes shifted. He observed Rex. Then the glass window. Then the room behind it. "Lily." Walker spoke quietly. "Confirm identity." Daniel replied. "No match in hospital registry." Cole raised his weapon slightly. "Unauthorized." Claire stepped forward slowly. Not toward the man. Toward Rex. The dog did not react to her movement. He remained locked forward. Claire stopped beside him. She didn't touch him. Just stood close. The man finally spoke. His voice was calm. Not loud. Controlled. "I am here for the child." That statement changed everything. Walker immediately responded. "Identify yourself." The man did not answer. Instead, he took one step forward. Rex lunged half a step forward instantly, stopping him. Not attacking. Blocking. Protecting. Claire watched closely. The man was not confused. He was measuring distance. Time. Response. Sergeant Cole spoke sharply. "Do not move." The man stopped again. Silence stretched. Heavy. Then Claire spoke. Not loudly, but clearly. "Why her?" The man's eyes shifted toward her for the first time. He studied her. Then replied. "Because she is the only access point left." That answer was not emotional. It was procedural. Walker stepped forward slightly. "You are under arrest." The man ignored him. Instead, he looked at Rex. Then said something unexpected. "Good dog." Rex did not respond. But his tension increased. Claire noticed it. So did Cole. The man shifted his weight slightly. That was all Rex needed. He moved. Not wildly. Not chaotically. Precisely. He surged forward, forcing the man to step back into the corridor. Security reacted instantly. Cole shouted, "Hold position!" But it was too late for hesitation. The corridor had become contact space. The man moved quickly now, not attacking randomly, attempting to bypass. Rex intercepted every movement. Controlled aggression. Focused restraint. Claire remained still, watching patterns. Not chaos. Angles. Timing. Walker's voice cut through the radio. "Contain him. Do not allow entry into room." Daniel moved to assist security positioning. The man tried to shift left. Rex blocked. Right. Blocked again. Every movement controlled. Every advance denied. But then something changed. The man stopped resisting forward movement. Instead, he turned toward the side corridor. Toward Lily's secondary access door. Claire saw it instantly. "He's bypassing the dog's position," she said sharply. Cole reacted. "Move." Rex turned immediately. But the man was faster. He reached the side door. Tried the handle. Locked. But not enough. He began forcing it. Rex lunged again, impacting him sideways. The man stumbled. Security rushed forward. Cole secured one arm. Daniel secured the other. The man did not resist violently anymore. Just enough to delay. Just enough to calculate. Then stopped. Completely. Breathing steady. No panic. Walker stepped forward. "It's over." Silence followed. But Claire did not relax. Neither did Rex. Because both of them noticed something others did not. The man had stopped fighting too easily. Too cleanly. Too deliberately. As if the objective had already been measured. Cole tightened his grip. The hospital did not return to normal immediately. Not after an event like that. Normal had to be rebuilt slowly, in layers, through routine, repetition, and time. St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center remained under controlled security review for the rest of the night. The intruder had been detained. The sub-level systems were fully secured. And every access point connected to the pediatric wing had been manually checked twice. Claire Morgan stood alone in the corridor long after most of the staff had moved away. Rex was no longer in alert posture. But he had not fully relaxed either. He stayed near Lily Bennett's door. Quiet. Present. Watching, but no longer tense. Inside the room, Lily slept. For the first time in many hours. Officer Daniel Brooks approached slowly. His voice was lower than before. "It's over," he said. Claire didn't immediately respond. She was still watching the corridor where everything had happened. Finally, she spoke. "No," she said quietly. Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Claire turned slightly toward him. "It stopped." A pause. But it didn't finish the way it was planned. Daniel understood what she meant. The intruder had been stopped. But the system behind the attempt had not been identified. Not fully. Agent Thomas Walker stood near the central station with Sergeant Ryan Cole. Their conversation was brief. Controlled. Professional. But heavier than before. Cole spoke first. "That wasn't random." Walker nodded. "It was targeted access behavior." "Toward a child," Cole said. Walker corrected slightly. "Toward a protected asset." Cole didn't like that wording. But he didn't argue. Dr. Michael Harris arrived shortly after, visibly exhausted. "We're moving patients back into normal flow," he said. But even he didn't sound convinced by the word normal anymore. Claire finally stepped away from the glass. Rex looked at her once. Then returned his gaze forward. Claire spoke softly. "He wasn't acting alone in thought." Walker turned. "Explain." Claire chose her words carefully. "He wasn't improvising." A pause. "He was following structure." Silence followed. Because that implication changed the entire situation. It meant planning. Coordination. Intent beyond one individual. Walker exhaled slowly. "We will expand investigation." Cole nodded. "Already preparing reports." Daniel looked toward Claire. "You knew more than you said." Claire didn't respond immediately. Then she answered simply. "I saw behavior patterns." "That's not normal observation." Claire looked at him. "It is when you've seen enough patterns that look like this before." That was the closest she came to explanation. And even then, it wasn't complete. No one pushed further. Because the night had taken enough energy from everyone. Later, in the quiet hours before dawn, Lily Bennett woke briefly. Claire was still nearby. The child looked toward her. "Is Rex okay?" Claire glanced at the dog. "He is fine." Lily nodded slowly. Then looked at Claire. "They said he wouldn't let anyone through." Claire didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at Rex. The dog remained calm now. Still alert, but no longer in threat posture. "Yes," Claire said softly. "He did his job." Lily seemed to accept that. Then closed her eyes again. Rex shifted slightly closer to the bed. Not dramatic. Just present. Like a constant guard that no longer needed to announce itself. Outside the room, Daniel stood with Sergeant Cole. "She never explained it," Daniel said quietly. Cole replied simply. "She didn't need to." Daniel looked toward Claire. "She knew things she shouldn't." Cole nodded. "Yes." A pause. Then Cole added something quieter. But sometimes that is exactly who you want in a hospital during the wrong night. Morning arrived slowly. Not dramatic. Just light. The hospital resumed operations in small steps. Phones rang again. Patients were moved. Reports were filed. But something remained changed. People walked differently near the pediatric wing now. Not afraid, but aware. Respectful in a way that had not existed before. Claire Morgan finished her shift quietly. As she prepared to leave, Agent Walker approached her once more. No crowd. No officials. Just distance and silence between them. "You will be included in the incident report," he said. Claire nodded once. "I understand." Walker studied her. "There will be questions." Claire met his gaze. "I expect that." A pause. Then Walker said something unexpected. "That call sign you used." Claire did not respond. Walker continued carefully. "It wasn't standard authorization." Claire remained silent. Walker waited. But she did not explain. After a moment, he stopped pressing. Instead, he simply said, "Thank you for keeping the situation contained." Claire gave a small nod. Nothing more. As she walked toward the exit, Rex stood near the pediatric room glass one final time. Lily was still sleeping. The dog watched her for a moment longer, then turned his head slightly toward Claire. A quiet acknowledgement. Not obedience. Not command. Recognition. Claire paused briefly, looked at him, then continued walking. Outside, the hospital morning felt ordinary again. Cars arrived. Staff entered. Life resumed. But inside St. Andrew's Regional Medical Center, something had shifted permanently. A line had been crossed. A truth had been exposed. And somewhere in the background of all the official reports and cleaned corridors, one fact remained unspoken but understood by everyone who had been there. The dog had protected the child. But it was the nurse they had not noticed at first who had known exactly how to stop everything when it mattered most. And she had done it without ever asking to be seen.